greetings to you, wherever you are tuning in from around the globe. This morning, I am super excited to have a power duo in the house. But first of all, we're going to cross over to see how everyone's doing this morning. How are you guys doing this morning? We've got the beautiful Hana and of course...
Yes. I'm excited, super excited. Yes, super excited today, and I'm good.
Yeah, Hana?
Lovely to have you, Asiata, on our show. Asiata usually runs our Tautaia'e show. Check that out, 5 p.m. every day. But he is joining us today in the morning show, and we always love it when he's on with us, eh?
And I just want to acknowledge Asiata for helping our Pacific morning show grow to inspire our community, to hopefully plant that seed so that every single day you wake up, there's something to look forward to every morning. This morning, like I mentioned earlier, we have a power duo in the house who are the hearts who are pushing through for our amazing community, not only in New Zealand, but they've inspired people around the globe. This morning we have Leaiataua and Dave, aka Butterbean, in the house. Good morning, Talafalava, Malore Soifua, and welcome to our Blue Wave Fale. How are you both this morning?
Very good. Thank you for having us. Very rare for my father and I to do interviews together.
Very rare, which is...
super honoured to be... Are we the first to host you guys together?
Second.
Second.
Not
We
bad.
made it.
Oh, we love it. How are you guys this morning? Like, you know, how's what was the... I know you guys are tight with schedule and everything, but...
I look forward to every morning, this idea of who's next.
Yeah. Who's next?
That's how I wake up.
Dad's a lot. He's older and he's more statesman-like and more wiser. I wake up stressed.
But stress has helped us through a lot of our challenges. Every morning on Pacific Morning Show, we start off with a positive quote. And this morning, I wanted to start off quickly with my quotes. So hopefully everyone's got just a quote. Doesn't have to be amazing quote, but this morning my quote is a blessing. May you always have enough happiness to keep you sweet, enough trials to keep you strong, enough success to keep you eager, enough faith to give you courage, and enough determination to make each day a good day.
Wow.
This morning.
What a serious one. What a serious one.
That covers everyone. So this morning, that's my quote this morning. So we hope that helps you and inspires you this morning. We'll go around the table and we'll share our quotes.
Let's go, Asiata.
Okay, I'll go with the Bible.
Oh, here we go.
Only when you are in the service of your fellow beings, you are only in the service of your God. I like that one.
Amen.
So serve others, that's the same as serving God. You can't say that you can serve God and you don't serve the neighbours that's right next to you.
It's so true, that one.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at what we're doing with my dad and I, it's all about serving others. You know, I always talk about not being religious and not going to church, but I have faith and I believe in God. And church is it's not what you just do when, on a Saturday or Sunday, whatever denomination you are. It's what you do outside those walls. That really makes you a Christian, being a good person, serving others. Don't be I remember I spoke at Dad's church. I haven't been invited back since. I asked the congregation, what time does church start? What time does it start there? 10, 9? And the church finishes at 1 or whatever it is. So, don't be 9 to 1 Christians one day. It's like what with my father, every day, we serve, and that's what being a Christian's about.
Amen.
Wow.
Amen.
I like that one.
That is
Love
really
that.
good. No, I definitely, I agree.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times we are programmed to think, Mum, Dad, it's always Leaiataua. But what about Monday to Saturday?
I really like that, Brown Butterbean. I really like what you just said, because, I'm a devoted church Christianity. But you know what? You actually taught me something new really today. It's more of what we think of Sundays. It's like a programming thing. Like, okay, this is the time to wake up. This is the time to put on your necktie, and then it's like a program, a pre-programmed thing. And then right after that, back to normality.
Yeah.
I really like that.
you can't be Christian that one day and then act like the devil every other day.
Exactly. Amen.
You.
Which actually, that's a really good quote because it swings perfectly into my quote, which I have here. The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. And talking about that, you should be incorporating, your Christian values in your daily routine. And that's what the secret to your future is.
Well, if you help others, you'll always be blessed tenfold.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's, if you live your life to help others, you're always going to be blessed in return. I try and say to our youth that we work with, at-risk youth, and you can have nice things. You don't have to rob and steal for it. If you help others, look at everything we're blessed with. It's because we help others.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Me to that. I love it. Do you have quotes this morning to share?
Just on top of what Dave just mentioned there, that's where the healing comes from. It's actually the serving. It lifts you and heals you from the inside out. Yeah. Well, if there's a little, I always talk about first chance, and it's a chance that many of our people would never afforded in the first place. So, and with that, the Bible talks about this idea that God doesn't always call the qualified. He qualifies those he calls. So there's many of us here, that we don't have pieces of paper with the alphabet on it.
Yes.
What we do have is a heart.
Absolutely.
And it's a softened heart. It's not one of those stony hearts.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's so beautiful, and I don't want to
It's
get.
already powerful.
Yeah, I know.
This is-
I don't want to
it's
get
pretty-
too preachy this morning, but that's so true. All those prophets tried to run away from doing God's will. We had, who was it, Jonah, who went in the way, who tried to jump off the boat to avoid his task. We also have. There's a lot of people who did that. But yeah, that's such a beautiful quote.
So he doesn't call the qualifier. He
He qualifies.
qualifies.
We do
But he
qualify.
qualifies
Yeah.
the call.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's amazing.
Love that. I love that.
Do you have a quote? I'm pretty sure there's a powerful quote coming through.
Really. I guess it's, if we're talking about youth and people stuck at the bottom, the people we serve, and it's whenever I say my people, I don't just mean Māori and Pacifica. My people is anyone struggling with depression, poverty, obesity, suicidal thoughts. All these things don't know colour. So anyone struggling is my people, and I always encourage my people that, that greatness comes from the struggle, and not to be afraid of failure, and not to be afraid of the struggle, because I think about it all the time. If I didn't fail, there'd be no BBM. If I didn't fail, there'd be no group literally helping hundreds of thousands of people. If I didn't fail, there'd be kids waking up this morning with no food. There'd be parents that wouldn't be here because they died of a heart attack or type 2 diabetes. So never feel afraid of failure, because greatness comes from struggle.
Amen.
Amen. Man,
That's a quote I shared this morning on my
Greatness
Instagram
comes
story. Never be afraid to fail.
Yeah.
Never be. That's a beautiful one. Empowering for sure.
So many people are, there's no resilience because they're afraid to
Yeah.
fail. At 16, I've failed. My father's failed. We've both failed many times, but it's what's got us here. I think about the people that I'm able to impact. I can feel at home at a gang pad or the chairman room, what I mean? It's anywhere, because we've been at all different levels of life.
No, I think it's important for us to share that, and thank you so much for sharing your powerful messages this morning. We hope that it's helped you inspire and wake you up this morning. We're just going to go into a quick music break. We'll be back, and that's when we'll go into our DMCs. We're going to talk to our two powerful guests this morning about their journeys and how their failures have got them to where they are today, to help you inspire your morning and your day and your week. We'll be back.
They read you Cinderella, and you hoped it would come true. Now one of your Prince Charming would come rescue you. like romantic movies, and you never will forget that way you felt when Romeo kissed Juliet.
And all the time that you've been waiting, you don't have to wait no more.
I can love you like that. I will make you my world.
Yeah.
Heaven and earth. If you were my girl, I will give you my heart.
Be all that you need.
Show you your everything is precious to me.
If you give me a chance, I can love you like that. Yeah.
I never make a promise that I don't intend to keep. So when I say forever, forever's what I mean. No, I'm no Casanova, but I swear this much is true. I'll be holding that right when it comes to you.
Dream of love that's everlasting. But baby, open up your eyes.
I can love you like that.
Yeah.
I can make you my world. Oh, heaven and earth. If you were my girl,
You and
I
my
will
girl,
give you my heart.
be all that you need.
Show you your everything is precious to me.
If you give me a chance, I can love you like that.
Yeah.
You want tenderness, I got tenderness, and I see through to the heart of you.
If you want a man who understands,
You don't have to look very far.
I can love you.
Yeah, I can love you. Oh,
I can love you like that. I will make you my world. Heaven and earth. If you were my girl,
You were my
give you my
girl.
heart.
Be all that you need, baby.
Show you your everything is precious to me.
Yeah,
I can love you like that.
I can love
You
you.
my world. Heaven and earth.
Heaven and
If you were my girl, I will give you my heart.
My
Give you all
heart.
that you need.
Yeah.
Show you your everything is precious to me.
To me.
I can love you, love you, love you, love you,
I can love you, hug and kiss and hug you, baby. Baby, love,
Good morning to you all and welcome to our Pacific Morning Show. Thank you for tuning in. It's wonderful to have you here. On today's show, we have two wonderful guests. And, we have actually a lot of people from the community come onto the show and preach community, community, community. But I can testify for these two that they are truly about community. And the reason why I say that was because a couple of years during lockdown, me and a very close friend of mine rallied around the Temper Zone workers who were unfairly fired from their jobs. And one of the people I reached out to was Dave. And he came through. I was this nobody with like 200 followers on Instagram, and I messaged his page and I go, Dave, these people need your help. These parents have been working for this company for over 20 years, warehouse workers, hardworking men who provide for their families. Some of their kids were at Aotearoa College, which was the college just down the road from there. And Dave came through and he brought through food parcels. He helped bring awareness around what was happening and how people were unfairly claiming COVID money and keeping it for their own company, but not treating their workers properly. So happy to announce our beautiful guest today on our show. How are you guys today?
very good, thanks.
Good to have you on. So Dave runs Butterbean Motivation, which is focused around the health and fitness of basically anyone who needs help in that area, right?
Yeah, we started off as a health and fitness group, I guess, just running free boot camps outside. We started in West Auckland, actually, with one person helping my father-in-law's mate. And then out south, we started with one person in a driveway in Papatoe. It really is amazing what's morphed out of that to this group. And, we have our community hub up the road, Manuko. Then we've got one in New Lynn. We've got a community kitchen and also a food share. We just opened up in Tokoroa and also a social supermarket there. So out of COVID, with this stuff, with Temper Zone, all these things, out of COVID, we sort of morphed into the social service side because there were so many of our people that were falling through the cracks of the system, and the system's so hard to navigate, they just weren't getting any support. So we started our food share. I don't call it a food bank because to me the word food bank has a negative connotation.
It does.
I don't want anyone embarrassed to reach out and ask for help. It's already hard enough, so we call it a food share. And that started the day before the first ever level 4 when a social worker who's a friend of mine rang me. And they knew of a family in South Auckland. This organisation was out west. And she had 4 kids with no food and no money, and wasn't able to access any help. So I helped because I could. We all live that way. If you can help, you should. It's the way you got to live. We took it out, and then it just broke my heart because when we took the shopping out, the kids were just crying that they had food. That day on, from that day, we started our food share, and then all the social services now that we run. So it's it truly is an amazing ministry that's helping thousands of people. But it doesn't have to. People look at us and they think, "Oh, how did you do this? How are you helping so many people?" You don't have to help so many people. You just help one person. Everything. If you think about where we are now, it started from helping one person. Never underestimate the strength and the power of just one person.
That's amazing. And everyone sees the work that you're doing, giving parcels, helping with health and different things. But how has it actually been for you being in that space?
Well, it's a double-edged sword. I feel very blessed that we can help, but it's also very sad that there's such a need. The stuff that you see, the stuff that Dad sees, it's a nightmare. You would never think it's happening here in New Zealand. And bubbles existed long before COVID, where people at the top had no idea what's happening for us down at the bottom. So there's always been bubbles. So that's why, we use our profile to highlight what's going on, and just trying to change mindsets. Every speech I give, I always talk about the choice, and Dad talks about it a lot too. Choice implies equal starting points. And for a lot of us, as Dad says, we can't even see a start line, and I talk about this is how it's just taxing on you when you're in service of others. I'm sitting in BP Papakura, just past Papakura, on my way to Rotorua, feeling sorry for myself, quite depressed, and I get quite down a lot. I don't think you ever really truly get over depression. It's just up, trips, it goes up and down. But I'm sitting in there, and then I get a knock on my window. There's a guy who recognised the car, and he's begging for money. So I start talking to him, and I said, how are you? He said, well, I'm not too good, bruv. I had an argument up north with my family, and we're trying to get to Wellington, and me and my wife and my newborn baby are sleeping in our van over there. So I head over to the van. I'm going to give them some money, but I want to make sure I'm not being hustled, And sure enough, there's the wife there. She's so embarrassed that she's got the blanket pulled over her head. I knock on the window, pulls the blanket down. It's a newborn baby. No, it wouldn't have even been a month old. And it broke my heart because the thing about choices, yes, those parents have made bad choices, but that kid hasn't had a choice. And it'll be a miracle if that kid grows up. It will take people like all of us that can help, to help. So it's just, to answer your question, it's really hard when you're in service of others, and the hard thing is that your family miss out. And me and my dad, we clash a lot over it, but we're both servants, of God, and serving our people in our own way. but it takes you away from your family.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, we don't really have that much. We're not together a lot.
Yeah.
Even with me and my family, I'm gone most of the week.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, you do all these things for your family. You know, then you're not actually there for your family. You know, so that's the thing with the work that we're in. And then, but then you think, if I stop, what's going to happen to the people I'm helping?
Yeah.
You know, so it really is a double-edged sword where it feels amazing you can help and make a difference. Where you think, geez, just because I exist, these people are living a better life.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but then if you stop, you're thinking, what's going to happen to them?
Yeah.
So, you know, like we've created a juggernaut of an organisation. You know, we've got all these things and not one paying customer. You know, so everything we do is free. If you think about just wages and our leases alone to run all of our programs, it's $1.1 million a year, and we only got a very limited amount of government funding. Everything comes down to me hustling and making connections to keep everything going. So it's really tough. People see where we are now. They see, oh man, this guy's cracking it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, they're doing amazing. Look at them. Look at all this thing. They don't see the hustle
Exactly.
that goes into it, you know.
And that's
Yeah.
it. And I think I also want to touch on that because I know that this is not, our space is not exactly like yours, but it's the same type of space where we are in a service of a different kind, and we understand how much pressure it takes on one person to be removed from your family 24/7. How does your family feel about that, and how do they cope? Because they're missing out. You're helping so many other people, but they're missing out, and how are they going to cope? How do they cope?
It's really tough.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky. I've got an understanding wife that you know shares me with the community. I don't know how they cope. It's very hard. It's very hard on my wife because you know we've got 3 boys still at home that she looks after. It takes a lot. All you can do is hope that they're going to be there. You know.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know the answer to that. I have tried to structure my week so I'm home more. You know, like I don't do any more night boot camps. You know, so I'm home at night. I'm trying not to do too much in the weekend. I've got a good team now as well that handles all my calendar. So she making sure that I don't do stuff on the weekend as well. So, you know, I can, because I'll always just say yes. Yeah,
Right,
sweet,
right.
yes, I'll do it. But now I've got a girl called Vanessa who handles my calendar, who is not shy in saying no.
No. Yeah.
That's good. It's good to have those ones on your team. And I just wanted to go back to what we were talking about earlier, how you're saying, you know, all these people are seeing from an outside lens that you're doing good, you're serving, and you've just shared with us a bit on how it's actually difficult being in that space. And I just wanted to give a big up to, you know, for networking in the right places and not just relying on government funding, because we've had experience in that space as well, and it's a bit of a feisty area to be around.
The thing with government money is even when about a year ago or a couple of years ago I met Paula Bennett, who was a national, she was the MSD minister.
Yeah.
And I said to her, what do I got to do? I was just asking her advice. So what do I got to do to try and start getting some, you know, government funding? She goes, be careful what you wish for, because if you start relying on their money to pay your wages, you know, they've got you. You know, and they can just pull that away at any stage. So you've got to make sure that there's only a certain percentage of it. Is more of what you're getting is from your own doing. You know, so we have to really hustle with you know, Dana, who does I've got an online fitness program that generates recurring revenue. I've got my speeches. And then I just go out and make connections with corporates to support. But so many community groups see us, you know, and I'm open if they want to ask me for advice. One guy asked me a little while last week, I'm starting this thing, can you tell me the shortcut? I said, listen, there's no, I wish I could swear.
There's no shortcut, guys.
You've got to do the work.
Yeah.
Just go out, you're like, what have you learned? Can you just tell me so I don't have to go through it? I said, look, we're still going now. I said, but, you know, anyone watching that's looking at doing something, you've got to, nothing comes without doing the work.
Yeah.
You've got to do the mahi, right? And then you've got to be able to highlight it. And that's what we've done. This is the formula. You do the work regardless. You know, like we're not reliant. We just go out and do it, and then you got to highlight what you're doing. You know, and we really utilize LinkedIn. So for any community groups watching or people looking out to start some kind of community organization or NGO, you've got to be on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's like the Facebook for people with money. You know, and then you're talking about things where you're not showing off. You're highlighting issues of what's going on in your community and how you're trying to fix it. You know, and so then you're raising awareness around it, and then you start like, you know, when we started our food bank, our food share, I just started looking on LinkedIn who's who, you know, who runs all these food companies, and then I came across Chris Quinn, who's the CEO of Foodstuffs North Island. So I saw we had a mutual connection on LinkedIn. Who's a friend of mine, so I rang him and asked, I've lost Chris's number. Can you give it to me?
I love it.
And you know, and I rang Chris, and he helped because he could.
Yeah.
You know, so you've got to network and surround yourself with these people that have the same core beliefs as you.
Yeah.
And if they followed you online, it's not a cold sell. You know, they already see the work.
Yeah.
And that's how we've done it.
But I mean, just listening, I really enjoy listening to the man himself sharing all this motivational. But at the same time, listening to when you mentioned your conversations with the former minister of MSD back then, you know, I was thinking of, it was quite disappointing in a way, the system, how, I mean, they could not provide or do what you are going out of your way and do it. I mean, in order to kind of like limit those fundings in terms of, and yet they or some people or the government cannot provide for that or cannot cover that. I mean, you are going out of your way to do it, and you deserve to.
Same with Grace. You know, I think Grace only just started getting funding. When was it, Dad? When you started getting MSD funding? Very recently.
17 years.
Dad wasn't being paid for 17 years, but that's what services.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the thing about these funders, what I see with government funding, is that there's stakeholders, there's the gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers, yes.
Right? And it's they get everything.
Yeah.
Groups like us, even like this,
Yes.
we're left to fight for scraps like we're dogs.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why I use my profile, and I'm outspoken. I'm not just outspoken online. I'm also in the background speaking, because it's not just for me; it's for all of us. You know, and to raise awareness around this, because we get no Pacifica funding, our group, yet we help thousands of Pacificans.
Exactly.
We
Definitely.
get no farm and water funding, nothing.
Yeah.
You know, all of our money mostly comes from Palandis,
Yeah.
you know, that trust the work. Why is it that a group like us and a group like Grace don't get any funding from Māori and Pacifica funders that have hundreds of millions of dollars?
Exactly.
You know, and it's the same organisations. And I said the thing to Chris Luxon when I met him. I said, you might be our next Prime Minister, right? When you're going and visiting these organisations that get all the funding, you should ask them if they do it without it. You know? And if the answer is no, you shouldn't give them the money. Groups like us, Grace, we've done it with nothing anyway. We'll always find a way to make it happen. So imagine with any social issue, so imagine if you go into that community and see what groups are making an impact already on the smell of an oily rag. Imagine if you supported them.
Yeah.
Imagine the impact that they could have.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
The Ministry of Health have now started to see it, and we got a little contract for our health program with long-term health conditions, which is mostly for Māori and Pacifica. You know, when you think that almost 70% of Pacifica adults are obese and 50% of Māori adults are obese, our kids aren't much better. If you walk around here at South Auckland, you know it's worse than that. And one day at Middlemore Hospital, there's 200 people were diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. One day, 200. I guarantee most of those people would have been our people.
Absolutely.
Right? And then you've got a program like ours that's reversing type 2 diabetes. So the Ministry of Health now finally seen that and are supporting it. It's a very small chunk, but I believe that because it's been evaluated with data, so now I understand the importance of data. I used to hate data. When we say what we do works, you can say what we do works and boom, here's the journal to prove it.
Exactly.
You know, it's powerful. So that's what's been happening. And Massey University come back with evaluation and said, this program shouldn't only be New Zealand-wide, it should be worldwide. It's that good. The mental health improvements, This is the head professor, researcher said, if he didn't do it himself, he would have thought it was fake. That's how good it is. And it's not just us, it's Grace with the, with what they're doing. Every community group that's having an impact, if they could afford to go out and get a impact lab report, which shows the impact. So we got some funding to do it, right? For every $1 invested in us, there's $13 return just on physical and mental health and improvements. Not including the work, not including everything else we do. Yeah.
Wow, amazing story. You covered and you feel something that other people, some organizations cannot, and which is the extreme work. So as Grace Foundations, which is we're going to talk more about.
For sure.
Grace Foundations.
We're just going to go into a quick song break, and then we'll be back with a lot more questions and a lot more interesting topics. We'll see you soon.
You're my love, you're my angel, you're the girl of my dreams. I'd like to thank you for waiting patiently. Daddy's home to stay. What's your name? Is it Mary or Sue? What's your name? Do I stand a chance with you? It's so hard to find a personality with charms like yours for me. Ooh-wee, ooh-wee, ooh-wee. You're mine, and we belong together. Yes, we belong together for eternity. You saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Blue moon, you saw me standing alone, without a dream in my heart, without a love of my own. Wah, 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 wah.
Good morning and welcome to our Pacific Morning Show. Great to have you here today. We have two amazing guests, David Matua and David Letele.
Senior and junior.
Senior and junior.
Leaiataua.
Leaiataua, and they're here to share their beautiful stories, and we've already discussed so many good things this morning, but we wanted to start the segment off with Dad. So a lot of people know that you're the previous president to the Mongrel Mob, and you've been involved in gangs previously, but we're not bringing you on here to bark off at you about these things, but you're in the space of service, you and your son. And it's no better story told than someone who is in service, who has been through the hard yards, who has been through the struggle, because you understand the people that you are serving. So I just wanted to ask a question first. What made you join a gang in the first place?
I think there was my mum and dad were quite early pioneers here in that migration that came in the late 40s, early 50s. And my dad was here in 1950, and my mum followed 2-3 years later, 1953, I think my mum arrived. So I can only imagine that particular group of men that came over in that period, just how difficult it would have been for them, but how brave they were. Completely different mindset, that group. They were strong men.
Yeah.
No nonsense men. Men who were really sort of, they were so dedicated and determined. So yeah, my dad was one of them. And and years that followed, 9 siblings, including myself. I think it was a culture clash in regards to the New Zealand way in which we were born into, and then the Samoan side of my mum and dad, and also the church. So both those things clashed in terms of us that were born here in New Zealand. So I think it was confusion. In terms of the two cultures, and lost in amongst it. So there was just a sense of ulavali.
Would you call it like an identity, you were trying to find a place to belong?
I think because with the particular denomination that my mum and dad were a part of, the Seventh-day Adventists, they're quite very rigid.
Right.
And almost cultureless in terms of the Samoan side. Everything was done with very little culture. So in opposed to my cousins who are predominantly Methodists, big difference. It's very Samoan, everything. It's almost an intertwine with culture. And if you go to their church, everything's very cultural operated. So there's a lot of advantages there in terms of even the nganga, the language, the Samoa, which is practiced. But in the Seventh-day Adventists, it's not very limited. So yeah, we just went left field. It was just a sense of belonging in regards to meeting up with guys that were like-minded. We're talking about kids. I was removed from home at a very early age, 10 years of age. Became a state ward. That's what they called us back in the day. Today it's with Oranga Tamariki.
Right.
So state ward is there's two sides, either youth justice or the care and protection. So I was more the youth justice. So moved at 10, went into the boys' home, Owairaka. It's now a children's park. A lot of blood spilt on that piece of land over the years, and abuse that went on in those places. I'm talking about really mini type jails for kids. That's what they were. So 60 to 80 kids in those places. Then I got transferred after 6 months there to a place in Levin, very similar, Hokia Boys' Home. So that was another big institution for children. So I was about 2 years away from home. Just being naughty, just a naughty kid. Nothing to do with my mum and dad.
Right.
And really, that was the start of where I went and ended up.
Right.
You know, I'm always of the thought when I think back and reflect that it was never a choice that God had in mind for me. I think He would have been scratching His head and saying, "Well, if you're going to go that way, I'll wait for you at the other end."
Yes.
And what we sometimes look back and think is a wasted life, sometimes we can turn that around to a positive and use that mess that we came through to help others.
And you're absolutely doing that right now with
Yeah.
Grace Foundation.
Yes.
You're working alongside vulnerable communities. You're working with at-risk youth, which is beautiful. And you've also partnered up with Asiata with this Lupe Fofo i Vau essay class, which really reinstalls the cultural values into is it mostly young people in that?
No, it's but just before answering that, there's a question I wanted to ask Leaiataua. So from your transformations and transitions from being a gangster, because you weren't just a wannabe.
Yeah.
You were rise up to the very, very top of it. You were a former president of the mob. And then was it easier for you to kind of like navigate away from there? I just want like in a brief way. Was it?
I mean, there was, I joined the gang very young, the consequence was my children, they lost out on me, because through the gangs, I ended up doing a lot of jail. Lost all my 20s, served a 10-year prison term, very young, So, at the age of 15, I was a, patch member, 17, sergeant of arms, and then 19, very young. President, but in saying that, I'm just wondering if it was always in God's plan, Well, you're going to be disobedient, I'm going to use all of that experience so that you can help the very same people that you decided to go with, So
you're sort of like the Paul. The Apostle Paul's version in the Bible, where, he was once a warrior in terms of persecuting the saints and then turn his life around. So I just want to ask you about this, change over of your old self into the very, very new human beings now. Because if I look at you, if we come across the supermarket or shopping center, not for once I would ever think that you were a mob, that you were a gangster, because the way you are now. Now, talk us through this Grace Foundations, with, please.
Well, I can just put that last piece in a nutshell in regards to getting out of jail, not really learning my lesson, even after all those years. Went back to the gang, went back to the drug scene. Well, I changed. I went to the drug scene. And, had a hydroponic shop showing other people how to grow drugs and stuff like that.
Just around the corner.
Yeah, just down there. And then, there was always this feeling that something was missing. And I believe it was a seed my mum and dad planted some years ago. It never left me, but I just couldn't work it out. And it's that God-sized hole in one's heart that only He can fill. So,
wow.
And that's what happened. Age of 46, and even though I'd had David and my late daughter, his late sister Vicky.
Sorry about,
Sorry.
All right. Take your time.
Yeah, no. And the question about walking away, I've just taken my family down a real dark space. I just felt that it was, I had to find this thing that was troubling me, And funny enough, I had the hydroponic shop just down the road here, and then I had a friend of mine pastor friend of mine drop off a box of tapes very quickly. And it was that box that I left in the shop for a couple of years, and I never just threw it under the table just out of respect for the dude. I just said, no, I'll have a listen to it later, But 2 years later, I believe I just saw this box. I had forgotten what it was what was in it. And I opened it, it was all these tapes, the sermons. So I put one out, and funny enough, the one I just randomly picked out was God and Bad Company. And I listened to that, and then after that, I decided to listen to the other 29, one a day. And at the end of that, I found what was missing. And even though the dismay of my family, because, I was providing them with all this money that I was getting, dirty money, and I said, that's it. I found it. And the thing is, I remember my wife, who was so used to being provided for in big ways.
Yeah.
And even my children, they, that stopped, And
Wow.
so I just went to one of the mob guys. I was saying before that, because I used to sort of look after the books, even though I took a back seat. I just packed the books up and took it to the uso. He's passed away now, and said, "That's it. I'm out of here." And that was as simple as that.
Just like that.
Just like that. Just said, I'm leaving, and just put the books on the table and just walked out.
Wow.
Wow.
That's powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's a Psalm 1 saying, it goes like this. E sili le toa e pū lea le loto nei lo le toa e le olo. Blessed is a real warrior is the one that keeps his heart, that rather than the one that trying to climb the mountain. And that's a real warrior there. That's amazing, Leaiataua.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned my late daughter, Vicky. So it was beautiful late girl.
Yes.
And very much like the brother, just different character in a sense, where she was very happy-go-lucky, and Dave was.
I think it's a lot of that. Comes from, and I said I don't want to talk about it, but I talk a little bit about it. But a lot of that comes from being the eldest as well. Even with my eldest now, William, he doesn't really talk to me much. I think as the eldest you go through more, you see more. And I'm hoping that my son comes back. And he's doing well. Like, we've broken the cycle with my kids because he's at uni doing engineering and working, but he doesn't have much contact with me. And I think the eldest, because they see more. So I saw more, but I was also taken away from my grandparents. Yeah, but Vicky had all of my good traits, but none of my bad.
Yeah.
I'm very, very, very impatient.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
Yeah.
So we felt that when we lost her to cancer.
Wow, amazing. I mean, now, sorry to hear about I've watched the story about your beautiful daughter, Vicky, and her journey as well, and that was captivating and heartfelt. But with regards to now the Grace Foundations, so, how's it like for you to now sort of teaching back the values of, to this, that you were once in their shoes?
I'm just so grateful to be put in that space, because I often thought, I was asked the question some years ago, what would I like to be doing? And my answer straight away was, I'd love to be helping gang members. And it just turned out this way, that we at Grace Foundation, we're the biggest bail house in New Zealand. Not only that, but we hold probably the most different or varied gang members, represent different clubs. And yet, under the rainbow of grace, I always say it's the rainbow that was separated in terms of colours, separated by the devil, but brought together again by grace. So we've got all these guys that come from the headhunters, the mob, the blacks, the nomads, the killer bees, the rebels, and whatever. Got them all. And yet I always say, look past the colours and see the man. And you'll realise that man looks just like you.
I like that.
I like that too.
So, that's I always harp on about this idea that the colours have separated us. But under the banner of grace, we've brought that rainbow back together, how it should be in its beauty. And
that leads into now, with your questions about our connection. So, I mean, I do the kind of like similar community, kind of like in terms of our culture and language and stuff like that. So, through Tuala, approached me in regards to connections with the Grace Foundations in terms of our Pacifica or Samoan guys that sort of in the verge of losing their identity and things like that. It's trying to help because I always believe Christianity and our culture in terms of values, real values, not the prideful way, helps us in the path that we need to. So it's an honor and privilege for me to have Grace Foundations every Monday. We do our chat about the Ava, chat about all this and that. But the centralization things that we talk about is the love, the grace of God that brings us all, that saves us all together. So
No, that was beautiful, and I really like your story that you said about the tapes.
Yeah.
That is, I don't know how to describe it, but that's a very beautiful testimony, and how you listen to all of them, and that was the turning point, would you say, in your life? Yeah. So like, not to overshare, but like my father had a similar experience. He went down a very dangerous path. I won't go into the details of it. Broken family, everything, but what made him change was God. Nothing could change him. Like, he loved his kids and everything, but once he turned to scripture and Bible, it's what really made him just quit everything and then just focus on his family. So I think it's a very beautiful story. And I think you guys are the perfect people to be in that space, that service space. But what have you guys been noticing working alongside vulnerable communities? What are the things that these people need who are at risk mostly in your experience?
Well, a lot of it, like we just spoke about, a lot of it is a sense of belonging. This idea of the Māori term would be whanaungatanga. In other words, kinship. This idea that I belong to something, and much of that's been broken or lost. And when we see I always talk about this idea that many of our families, or many of the guys that end up at Grace, second, third generation, are born into bad pole position, meaning they don't see a start line. And even if just to get to that start line, that's why not all choices are created equal. So when people say, "Oh, they all had the same choice," no, they far from it. And I always talk about they were never also given that first chance. We talk about giving them second, third chance. Well, where's the first one? They never got one. They were born into straight away, popped out, and first thing they see is their dad beating up their mother, or they see a gang patch, alcohol, drugs, it's just the dysfunction in a family. So they virtually had no chance, So what we're trying to do at Grace is give them that chance. Say, here, grab it, because we don't just run the programs and all that, but it's residential. They actually, we've probably got over 120 bracelets, guys wearing bracelets. But here's the thing, we also run probably the biggest wahine residential we have.
Oh, wow.
Plus mums and bubs. So we, mums and bubs down Federal Street. We've got the woman down in Stanley Street, and nearly 300 beds, just for our people coming from incarceration. And that's the issue we have with Indigenous people worldwide, is the mass incarceration of our people. What's happened? And we need to get to a place where I always tell the guys, once you hit Grace, no more excuses. And Dave talks about no excuses, because now you know. Now you know. You need to now be leaders of your families.
Yes, absolutely. And I've started following their Facebook pages and their activity, and I saw one of your massive baptism thing with the boys, and that was amazing. And with that, I just want to ask Dave questions with regarding all these multicultural people coming to you seeking help in terms of their health. And I've watched your videos, how, the moment that you start coaching them, telling them and motivating them, what makes you wanted to, with this helping people with their physicality and health?
What made me want to do it?
Yes.
Because I could. Again, if you can help, you should. It felt good to help others. Like Dad says, healing comes from helping others, by helping myself. you know, to help myself, I realised I also had to help others. And that's how it all started. Yeah, it's been an amazing journey in terms of the question you talked about with the youth, you know. Dad's right with the belonging. You know, people always want to belong to something, whether it's a gang, religion, the Lions Club. You know, because they all run like a gang. Everything, even religions run like a gang. You have the person in charge. You have the workers. You know, so what we've created is on BBM. This is our patch. But it's something positive. You know, it's like a village or a marae, like the community, how community used to be, where, you know, people used to always say, you know, it takes a village to raise a baby. Well, that's gone because everyone's so busy trying to survive, or they just don't care. You know, so that's what we've tried to bring back. And it takes community groups walking alongside families and being supported by government. It doesn't matter which government. All governments need to work alongside the NGOs and community groups that have the trust of the people. You know, and it's long term. People the governments keep, and not just this government, all governments. They always throw money at problems. You know, that's not what fixes it. You've got to make sure you're giving the money to the right people to help these families.
Amen.
Wow, amazing.
Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful stories on our Pacific Morning Show. We're so grateful. Thank you for your time. We appreciate it so much. We know you are both busy doing the Lord's work, of course. But I'm going to wrap up our show here. And we just wanted to know if you guys had any last words before we wrapped up the show. Any advice you'd like to give to people who may be listening and are struggling with similar issues that you guys brought up with the show, just feel free to say it to the camera over there.
Yeah, just to, you know, these are the 4 pillars that we live by in BBM and that I live my life by. It's how if you stick to these, I guarantee you'll be successful. The first thing is to just start, not overthink it. You know, we talk about youth problems. A lot of people talk about it. We started a youth program. You know, we just started it. You know, we talk about health. So many of our people think it will never happen to them. Eat more crap, drink more crap, do no exercise. You know, it won't happen to me until it does, you know. And then so many people I visited in a hospital, all of them had one thing in common, and some of them never made it out. And they all had one thing in common, and that thing was they would give absolutely anything to have an opportunity to go back in time and start. So while we're all here and we have this opportunity, why are we wasting it, you know? Second thing is staying consistent. You know, life is tough. Life sucks sometimes. Sometimes life sucks more than it's any good. And you will come across speed bumps, obstacles and hurdles, and you will get knocked down. But whenever you're knocked down, all you got to do is get back up, right?
Yeah.
Success for everyone is only around the corner. But we'll never know if so many of our people just keep staying down. You know, I asked some youth the other day, what do you do when you get knocked down? Some of them said, stay down. It's just around changing the way we think about things, our mindset. You know, like even around nutrition, about being consistent with nutrition, but the mindset around it. A donut shop opens around the corner and we line up for hours and celebrate. You know, that's our mindset needs to change. Third thing is being around good people. You know, people that only want the best for you, people that are there for you, people that are there because they love you, not for what you can do for them. You know, and I always say, if you surround yourself with 5 idiots, what does that make you?
The 6th idiot.
And the last thing is that the last pillar of us is no excuses. You know, I believe in it so much. It's you know, it's tattooed on my back. I think about everything that I've done. You know, geez, some of the stuff I got up to, I should be dead or in jail. And because I'm not wasting this opportunity, you know, to teach the way that we're teaching. And the only way you can live by this mantra of no excuses is by having a very strong why and a strong purpose and living with it. You know, my why was I wanted my kids back. When I moved back here, I didn't have my family, and it broke my heart. But that was my why. That's what drove me. I closed my eyes and I'd envision my kids. I'd envision being at the airport and having my kids run up to me. That was my why, and it was strong enough for me to overcome any obstacle and hurdle. And, you know, I was staying in one of those Grace Foundation's homes, you know. But I used that to get my life back together. Now my why is being an example for my family, but also for my people, especially our youth. I want to show our youth that it's possible, that you can have a nice house, a nice car, because you got to understand about the youth. But anyone, success is money. You know, that's what you think is and having nice things. You know, I mean, that's what, you know, when Dad was in that life, that's what I enjoyed.
Yeah.
You know, the nice things, driving a Mercedes limousine.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. But what I know now is that that's not success.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what you got to understand with the youth is that's what the way their mindset is.
Right.
My why is showing them that you can have a nice house, a nice car, a nice family,
Yeah.
a nice life, and everything that you want to deserve, you can have, and you don't have to do it by robbing banks, selling drugs, and doing ramblings.
Yeah.
So if you live that way, anything's possible.
Amen.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful message.
Yeah, I can't really add too much to what Dave's just mentioned. I just want to, if I could quickly say, we operate on the model Te Whare, the Te Whare Tapa Whā model, very similar with the Pacifico one, the four whare. So, we're talking about the 4 pillars, the tinana, meaning our mindsets, our bodies, the hinringaro, our mindsets, whānau, which is our social connections. But the main one for me is this wairua, this taha wairua, this idea that we are naturally spiritual. But you'll find a lot of our people, especially our youth, that's the missing pillar within many of our people now, which in having a deficiency in wairua, it actually affects the other 3 pillars. I will also talk about the idea of the whare standing on a foundation. I don't talk too much about the foundation, which we just say is this alofa, aroha, this idea of love that keeps the house strong. So just working from the inside out, that's all I can add to that.
So amazing. I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful that I'm part of. Because normally I don't participate in this show, but I've asked to be seated here. And I've learned so much. One of the things I wanted to share with you too before we wrapped up. I'm a person that sort of not interested in continuously interested in something. Like I will be like, it's a habit for me just to really like something for a short term. And then by the time that people will be like, why can't you just, and then I lost interest. But just sitting in here listening to all this motivational about, getting comfortable down there instead of getting back up and continue, or failing to continue. I mean, it inspired me a lot today. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
Same here. I mean, the team is familiar with me. I'm always the talkative one. Today, you spoke so much life and love. I've been through my own journey and struggles, and to be in this space, to be in this, in your presence, speaking life, speaking God's word as well. I've lost for words, and it's an absolute honor to finally be in this presence. And I'm trying not to get emotional because, man, I'm that Gangi Valley type of person. But thank you, because my thank you, it's just, sometimes we say and share it for our viewers, but I think today as well, not only has it been for our viewers, I have learned something, and I will take something, and that has been your seed planted in my heart that I know I will share to everyone. Moving forward. But thank you, Papa Love.
Wow.
Thank you so much. I just love how real you guys are. Honestly, you guys are amazing. I share the same sentiments as these two. I don't want to get emotional, but thank you so much for your time. This will not be the last time we'll have this again, hopefully. But thank you for coming on our Pacific Good Morning show. Thank you to all our viewers. We'll see you again. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Time passes by and still you're on my mind. I can't imagine living my life without you, girl. The special moments you and I can only share will always keep us together and never apart. You're my so beautiful, God knows I love you. You're all I need, Pualena. Take my breath away, Pualena. passes by, and still you're on my mind. I can't imagine living my life without you, girl. The special moments you and I can only share will always keep us together and never apart. You're my Elena. You're so beautiful. God knows I